Hey everybody, how you doing out there? And welcome to my continuation of ranking the victims' deaths throughout the Friday the 13th movies. Now, if you're only catching me on this particular video and you haven't seen the original Friday the 13th, what I'm doing is I'm going through all of these movies here up to the remake, and I'm actually ranking from worst to best of all the deaths. And usually what it is that a lot of them have to be pretty cool, pretty unique, but I can actually also even enjoy some plain and simple kills there too that will be like, wow, I can't believe he ranked that one so high and that one was so much better, but I see his reasoning behind it there. So if you guys are actually interested in participating in the comment section, how would you actually rank the deaths from worst to best, or best to worst, however you'd want to actually do it, or even just give me your favorite and your worst, that's perfectly fine there too. Now in this one, we actually have 8 deaths, but I have 7 spots. And once I get to that one, I will explain why I have these two people in the same number. Now, I'm sure some people are going to ask in the comment section, so I better do this now at the beginning. I will not be including Terry, other than right now, is because with her, all we kind of get is that she sees a dead body, she sees Jason, she screams at Jason, they move to another scene, and then when we get the aftermath of her, all she is she's just laying there on the floor in Jason's cabin. We don't see any blood. We don't see any wounds on her. No knife, no machete stab. I'm like, why should I include just someone that they're not even going to show what happened, when she saw Jason, or even show the aftermath? I'm like, there's no really point behind that there. Okay, so let's get ourselves started. Number 7, the worst of the worst, is actually Vicky's death. Vicky and Mark are making out, and they do want to go find a cabin of their own to go have sex, and Vicky's like, let me go back to my cabin to go refresh myself. I'll be back in the next, couple minutes or so, which is actually true. By the time that she comes back, though, she has no idea where Mark is, so she goes upstairs to ask Jeff and Sandra, but by the time that she actually gets up there, well, who's actually there in bed is Jason, so she starts walking back very slowly, scared as hell. Jason's coming with the knife, and whenever she actually hits the wall and has nowhere else that she can actually go, Jason comes and stabs her. We don't actually see where she gets stabbed, and a little bit of blood comes out of her mouth. I do like the little bit of blood comes out of her mouth there, but it's just like, that's all we kind of get, so it's definitely one of the weaker and why it is the worst. Number 6, and that is actually Crazy Ralph. And I should have mentioned this before for people who probably already know this. He's actually one of 2 returning characters from the original Friday the 13th. Now, when it comes to Ralph, he's actually standing outside, hanging by a tree. He actually is watching Jenny and Paul making out in Jenny's cabin. He hears a noise. He turns his head. Jason actually is behind the tree, comes and actually swings his barbed wire, chokes Ralph, and Ralph just... And that's pretty much it. And I feel like even though he was not in the first one that much, a lot of people respect this character, and they were probably happy that he was back in this second one. And I feel like that he definitely deserved a much better death than just him being choked by barbed wire. I mean, that's messed up, but I still think there should have been something better when it came to that there. Number 5 is actually going to be Scott. Now, where we have with Scott is actually kind of connected with Terry here. So the thing is, Scott was one of these characters who was messing with Terry throughout the movie here. So there's one time she decides to go skitty dipping, and he actually grabs her clothes. So when she comes out of the water, he actually, hey, I'm over here, and starts kind of tossing her certain pieces of clothes there. Well, what happens is he ends up stepping on some rope, and it actually, I believe, was supposed to be a bear trap, and the rope actually closes up on his leg, and he swings up in the air. And this is one that's kind of a mixture that I do actually think it's kind of a fun little bear trap before he does die. And there's actually sometimes I watch this movie and it just feels like it's so like Looney Tunes. Terry's like, you know what, I'll go cut you down, let me go get a knife, and she runs away. So the thing is that Jason comes and actually grabs Scott's hair and it slices his neck there, which I actually thought was actually decently good. So we are kind of in the okay section right now. Number 4 is going to be our couple of Jeff and Sandra. Now, they're actually having sex, and Jason walks in on them. He has a spear, and he actually pretty much just spares them. Now, I believe Jeff was on top, so Jeff gets it like what, a second or a half a second before Sandra's going to get it right through her body, and the spear goes through the bed there too. I thought that was definitely a pretty messed up and really cool, kind of a double penetration kill there. Sometimes some are better than others when I see something like that there. And this is probably definitely one of the better ones. Number 3 is going to be Alice. When it comes to Alice, she's like in the first 10-15 minutes of this movie. So just to try to do as quickly as I can, when we first see her, she's sleeping, she's having nightmares of what happened in the original movie, all the crap that she had to kind of go through. And then the thing is that she gets a phone call from her mom. There's a little bit of an argument there. Then she decides to go take a shower. She gets another phone call, but we're thinking more likely it was Jason. So she goes into the kitchen, and she's about to, I think, close a window. She gets scared by a cat. She's like, are you hungry? So she goes into the refrigerator, and what does she see? What do they focus on? But Mrs. Voorhees' chopped off head in the refrigerator. I believe she steps back maybe 1 or 2 steps, and Jason actually has a screwdriver, puts it in her temple, and stabs right into her brain. And boy, that is really one effed up death. Number 2 is actually this male cop that we actually get. He's driving through the wood, and he sees somebody run by, which was actually Jason. So he stops the car, and he starts chasing, and it's a decently long chase. So the cop ends up finding a cabin, which turns out is Jason's cabin. So he's walking in, and he's kind of investigating what's going on. Can't find the person that he's chasing. He actually opens up this one door, and he's like, my God, what's there? And of course, we don't know till later on, but if you've seen the movie, you already know that he sees Mrs. Voorhees' severed head on this table here. And then Jason walks behind him and actually has a hammer and hits this guy in the back of the head. When he has that look on his face, I'm like, ooh, yeah, that's smarts. That is pretty bad. Getting the hammer, the claw side, in your head there. And I thought that was very, very messed up. But number 1, the one that I will definitely always like, and this could be my favorite of the entire franchise, tough to say, but it's got to be Mark's death. Now, this is the guy that's actually in a wheelchair. So what happens is he hears a noise. So he goes outside, and he thinks it's actually Vicky coming. But the way that they kind of do the shot, where it's like they show from behind, they show from Mark's face, and you can see stuff from behind, and it's like, it's kind of a questionable, like, where the hell's Jason, the way they do this. It's almost like, what, did Jason kind of crawl over the banister or something like that? And boom, there goes the machete in Mark's face there. He rolls off the porch, and he rolls down these steps. And even though that I'm not talking about good or bad transitions, but once they actually show him rolling down the steps, they kind of freeze frame for a moment, and then they transition into Jeff and Sandra having sex, and I really did like that. Well, there you guys go, folks. There is my victim's death from worst to best in Friday the 13th Part 2. Hopefully you actually enjoyed me here, and I will definitely be curious if you have your own list, or give me your worst and best, and see if we agree on any of these or not. So thank you guys so much for watching another video here. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.